I've talked to a lot of people who swear by cheap budget charcoal grills, only to end up with uneven heat, a never-ending flare-up, and a pile of ash that feels impossible to clean. The regret is real, and it's why you pause before you click Add to Cart. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The big question with a Kamado like the Classic Joe Series 3 is whether you're paying for a genuine upgrade or just a pricier version of the same frustrations you've already seen. When you first pull the Kamado Joe out of its box, the first thing you notice is the heft of that 18-inch ceramic bowl sitting on a sturdy, galvanized steel cart. It's not something you can toss onto a balcony patio and forget about. The whole system is built around a philosophy that you'll be cooking low and slow for a while, then cranking up the heat for a sear. That means the real test isn't just the spec sheet, it's how the grill behaves when you actually try to smoke a brisket, bake a pizza, or throw a quick batch of burgers on a summer evening. I started my Hansen test with a classic low and slow scenario, a pork shoulder that needed to sit at 225 for 8 hours. The SlRoller Hyperbolic smoke chamber did exactly what the marketing promises. It created a thick, steady stream of white smoke without the hot spots you get in a standard kettle. Because the ceramic retains heat so well, I barely had to adjust the top vent, the control tower, once the dome was up and the charcoal was lit. The result was a tender, evenly smoked shoulder that sliced cleanly, and the temperature never drifted more than 5 degrees. That kind of consistency is a hard-won advantage when you're counting on a single cook to hit a deadline. Switching gears, I tried the 3-tier divide-and-conquer system for a Kookhalthings dinner. The bottom rack held a tray of root vegetables, the middle held a fish fillet wrapped in foil, and the top rack had a batch of chicken wings. Because each tier can be set up with its own heat shield, I could keep the veggies at a gentle 300 F while the wings got a crisp 425 F blast. The separation worked better than I expected, there was no flavor crossover, and the grill didn't get crowded despite the tight space inside the dome. The real kicker was the air lift hinge. The dome opens with a light pull, and the hinge actually lifts the whole lid, so you don't have to wrestle with a heavy top when you're already sweating over a hot grill. Now, no product is perfect, and the Classic Joe does have a few practical trade-offs. First, the weight. Even with the rolling cart, moving the grill from the garage to the patio takes a couple of people. Once it's set up, the wheels lock in place, but you'll need to clear a decent amount of floor space to let it roll out. If you're living in a small apartment balcony or have a cramped backyard, the 18-inch footprint plus cart might feel invasive. Second, the learning curve. The airflow system is a marvel, but it requires you to understand how the bottom vent and top vent interact. Newcomers who expect to just light a match and toss a steak on the grates will find themselves fiddling with the vents for a few minutes before the temperature stabilizes. That's not a deal breaker, but it does mean the grill rewards patience and a bit of research. Who should seriously consider this Kamado? If you're a backyard enthusiast who enjoys experimenting with different cooking techniques, smoking ribs one night, baking a Neapolitan-style pizza the next, and finishing a steak with a sear, the Classic Joe gives you the flexibility to do all that without buying separate pieces of equipment. The 3-tier system is a genuine time saver for family gatherings where you need to feed a crowd with a variety of foods. The cart's built-in side shelves also mean you can keep tools, a prep station, or a cooler within arm's reach, which makes the whole cooking experience feel more organized. On the flip side, if you're the type of griller who pops a couple of burgers on a weekend and then forgets the grill until the next holiday, you might be better off with a lighter, cheaper kettle. The upfront cost of a Kamado, especially a brand like Kamado Joe, is higher than a standard charcoal grill, and the added weight and setup time might feel like unnecessary overhead for occasional use. Also, if you live in an apartment complex with strict balcony size limits or fire safety regulations that restrict large charcoal setups, the Classic Joe could be a compliance headache. Another practical point that often gets overlooked is cleanup. Because the ceramic retains heat, the ash sits at the bottom of the bowl and cools down slower than in a thin metal kettle. The included ash tool helps scoop it out, but you'll still need to let the grill cool for a while before you can empty the ash pan completely. That said, the ash